Okay guys, so let's compare the two lenses. Well, this in my hand is the lens which obviously it's not put on this camera which I'm right now filming. I'm filming with a Panasonic Lumix GH4 camera. Maybe I will show in the picture. And right now I'm using the new kit lens, which is basically 12mm to 42mm lens. And now I'm of aperture of 3.5. The zoom is to the absolute closest. 40mm. So it's 40 to 42mm, 14 to 42mm. And ISO on this camera is 800 right now. And let's just walk through with this lens and see. Basically, the big problem, and I'm filming on Cinelike V color standard and in automatic, so everything is automatic. The ISO, the shutter speed will be automatical. So this is the lens which we were testing right now. It has why I choose this lens, because it has a zoom and a focus motor inside. So basically, I don't like when I try to zoom it, my hands get shaky. When I try to do some focus effects, also the hands get shaky. So this is why I chose this lens, and also I chose this lens because it's 14mm to 42mm. Basically, this is what you need, all you need for basic filming. I don't think you need any more. But the biggest minus of this is the high aperture, which is 3.5. Although what I checked is that the lens itself is really small in diameter, so basically you will definitely get lower light filming. So I'm now back on the lens, the 20mm lens of aperture 1.7, and as you can see, it's basically I'll do autofocus. Everything is much brighter. It's the same 3.5 aperture, 30 shutter speed, and 1600 ISO. Well, basically what we can still do, well, we will do it a little bit later, but let's check how everything does here. And okay, while we are on manual, let's check the manual settings for this. It doesn't have a zoom, but we can go much brighter. It's the 1.7 aperture, and we can jump ISO down a little bit to 400, 800. So on the other lens, this is the 200. On the other lens, 800 was like this, 1600 was like this, ISO. So it's 800 ISO right now. Basically 400, 800 in terms of ISO is really good. Shutter speed, shutter speed is 30. That's the absolute minimum on this frames per second, but you can get to 60. You get, but I don't think you need anything like this. And yeah, so let's walk around in the darker places. As you remember, we used the 3.5 aperture in this place. Okay, it's 3.5 aperture right now, and 30 shutter speed, ISO 800, ISO 1600, ISO 3200, and ISO 6400. So 3200, 1600, 800, 400, 200. So 3200 seems pretty okay. And let's do the motion, dirty dishes. Yeah. And let's jump here on the outside. Shutter speed down to 1000. ISO down to 800. Okay, ISO back to 1000. 300, 1000. And what we can do, we can change the aperture. 5.6, 1.7, 2.5, 2.8, 3.2. This is on manual. with aperture 3.5, shutter speed 250, and ISO 800. So I will start to zoom in, and you will see, right? It gets darker, darker, and darker, and when I zoom out, it gets brighter, brighter, and brighter. So this is the minus of this lens, because the aperture changes. But well, just a review. So let's jump back to inside. As you can see, it's pretty dark, so I have to turn down the shutter speed. Shutter speed now is 30. And I bet you can see some noise also, but I'm not sure about it. So let's zoom in. And you see it gets darker, darker, and darker, so I need to turn the shutter speed up. I cannot turn it up at 30. I need to ISO jump up, ISO 3200, but I believe it's noisy in 6400, and I believe you will see lots of noise. So let's jump back. ISO 3200, 1600. Aperture rise up a little bit. So this is the, I will show you on the mirror. This is the, goddamn, somebody's calling. Focus manually. This is the Lumix G Warrior, and you can see lens. Okay, so let's switch to the other lens right now. And this is a 20mm lens, 20mm. Okay, it's dark as hell. So let's go and see this lens up close. So you can see it. And now let's jump to automatic settings. Okay, we are fully automatic right here. ISO 1600. Let's stand it right there. So let's jump the aperture 3.5, the same as in that lens. So apparently pretty dark. But on this lens, zoom, 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 it's automatical zoom. Let's wait. Let's wait until the camera notices something changed. Okay, nothing happened. So on this, this is the absolute lowest aperture that you can get. So basically it's pretty dark. But on the lens, which right here is now on the 20mm lens, you can go to, like, this is 3.5, ISO is 1600, but you can go to 2.8, 2.5, 2.2, 2.0, 1.8, 1.7. So as you can see, it can get really bright images. But what the thing is, on the lower on the manual focus right now, it's 1.7 right now, the aperture, and you see the background is really blurry. But when you get to like 3.8, 3.5, okay, it's 4 right now. The blurriness on the background changes, so it's not so blurred at all. So basically these are like effects that you can do for filming. This is 1.7, you can see really blurred out. 4.5, 5.6, let's put the ISO up a little bit. 6.3, 7, 9, okay, get a little dark. Turn the brightness up a little bit. 10, 11, 30, 40, and it's really noisy. So it can, like, the high aperture can give you the dynamics, can give you the effects, cinematic effects, and so on and so on. So basically 1.7, I move the camera a little bit farther and everything's blurred out. Move a little bit further and you can see the focus gets back, and still a little bit further, like a couple of centimeters, it's also blurred out. So basically if I'm using 3.5 right now, ISO a little bit higher, 3200, so it keeps in focus whether I zoom a little bit in and zoom a little bit out. So basically, if you're doing filmings, the 1.7 can be actually really small. It can be really small, so you get lots of blurred out images. But then you use 3.5, so basically it gets right in focus. Everything stays a little bit in focus. So this is the comparison between the two lenses, and let's focus up. And I hope you like it. Enjoy. Although in this room it's really less light, but still you can get a comparison out of these two lenses. And with this 20mm lens I can get really nice images in low light, really nice. So basically I'm really satisfied with this 1.7 lens.